I welcome Vandana ma'am for this podcast. This is one of the most desired topics that I really wanted to do because it's not about like me working on something which is like a ninja security guy or else a cyber security part. Leave the thing. But among them, there are some amazing people that I met virtually and also in person, have been guided by many people. And I think cyberspace is something which I don't do regularly, but it really caught me up to one extent and said me, hey boss, just look at this profile. It looks better on any person, but only thing is you need a presence of mind. And I am very glad that I'm doing with a person called as Vandana Verma because it's not about women power, women empowerment, and the things like that. It's all about you being the right engineer. And I don't think there is anybody who is other than Vandana ma'am to give you such a great insights about what DevSecOps or else what this ninja style security aspects in the world of this AI and the machine learning can be today. And I'm deeply honored that she accepted to do this podcast after a very long time. And trust me, one of the most desired guests on my podcast. And thank you so much, ma'am, for giving me this podcast.
Thank you so much, Vishwas, for inviting me. I am very, very happy to be part of the podcast.
Yes, let's just address the elephant in the room. Like, why do I need to really fear about the security of all my products and also my secure data set that is been staying on one cloud rack? What is it all about when I need to fear about the data privacy, data security, and everything in the world today, which is more complex?
Okay. So I always have a habit of giving examples, and that too, the funny examples, which are house examples. So I'll start off with a story at home, like what happened at home. My cousin brother, he was very excited to get something new for house. And that was like a chandelier. Like I'm always fascinated by them because they glow and they have like lightings and everything. Okay, till then it's fine. But then that was Bluetooth connected, right? And then when he got that, he used to play music, and on some birthdays also, for that went on for like 2-3 weeks. Like everyone was so excited. Everyone will come, he'll show it to them. And one fine day, I was like, there must be something that we can do. Like, okay, it's always like a reverse way, because people should know what could go wrong. So my brain works in that way. What
We
could
are
go
all
wrong?
engineers.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, till the time you don't know how to break it, how will you secure it, right? How will you use it? See, that's what so you open things. I have opened a lot of things and spoiled it. Some are in good shape. I've learned a lot about them. But so that was fine, all going good. I found a Bluetooth hack, like, okay, which was very like the basic hack that anyone can think of. You can find it on the internet, on the exploit DB. You'll be able to find the Bluetooth hacks, or just ask, just type, search on the internet, you'll be able to find it. I started preparing for it. So we were on a dinner table. We were all having the dinner together, and I just turned it on. And nobody turned on the switch. It just turned on from the phone. And it went on and on and on and on. Nobody could eat the dinner till the time it got stopped. So I had to show them in the end what was it. And they were like, okay, we'll have to be very cautious. And this is like the basic thing. And now we have smart TV at home. We have geysers at home. I've seen those ads. Like I don't have that at home, but then there are a few other things which are internet connected, right? And even we have handheld devices. Do you have a pattern on your phone or your passcode? I'm just trying to social engineer.
Yeah.
What do you have?
Yeah, I
You
have
something
a password.
on your phone, right?
Yeah.
You have a password, right? I have a 8-digit code, which is a mix of letters and numbers. Like, who does it? Because I've encrypted my device. So if somebody gets to it, they don't get to see what is there in my phone. Now, on top of it, if you have a pattern, what will I do? The same thing which I did with my father. He was very excited that, oh, I have done some security on my phone. I have a pattern now. Like, you can't guess it. I'm like, okay, fine. Give me your phone. And that time I just did a SANS course on mobile device hacking. I was like, oh, come. Okay. I just connected his phone to my laptop, ran a simple script, I was like, okay, now it's this phone is mine. Give it to me. Now there's no pattern. I removed it. So those things, sometimes those are the basic things. And that's what make us think that you don't have to be scared of security. You just need to be aware of it. It's just the mindset. It's just think about what are the things which are around us. And similarly for an organization, it all starts with a process wherein never trust, always verify. I always preach about zero trust, which we say. It took me good some time to understand what it is, because it's more of a methodology rather than a technology. Why I'm saying technology? Because there are many products in the market which combine and build this whole zero trust architecture. So it's more of a zero trust architecture that we are needed in the organization. And if we miss out on one thing, we're gone. Talk about the Sony hack that happened in, if I'm not wrong, that happened in around 2015, 14, 15. Now, when that happened during a Thanksgiving where everyone was enjoying, and suddenly this hack happened, and there were 5 movies which were unreleased and they got released on the internet, and then there were a lot of data which was stolen. As per my understanding or the reports that I've read, it was due to an internal phishing attack that led to ransomware attack and whatnot. Now, when that happens, it all starts with the identities. Earlier, we never thought that identities could be that critical. We always built defense in depth. Like, okay, let's have a gate with a key, right? Now, if somebody gets into if somebody breaks the key, okay, that's fine. Now, there's another layer, like if you come to my house or anywhere, like in this apartment, there are multiple layers of security which is there. But if somebody gives you the key to open the door, what what do you think what will happen? You will just open the door and come in. And that's when we as individuals, we need to take care of our own identities, and organizations are trying to secure our identities, because humans are the weakest link, whatever we say. Even there's a research by Bruce Schneider that weighs back to 20 years. He said that at that time that humans are the weakest link. If we don't secure them, we can never secure our environment. So that's my 2 cents on it.
No, but it's not like you need to know advanced tools. Just by doing a simple phishing, you can turn down a company into racks. Like that can really happen, because it's like it need not have to be that complex also. It can be simple things, but can be more complex to the world of what we call it as the present age complexities of DevOps and the things like that. So I just wanted to understand, like, what is the biggest misconception about the cybersecurity, and what is the biggest attack that you have seen? Because I feel every attack has its own nature, because anything is destructive today in the world, which is very heavy in terms of compute today. So I just wanted to understand, like, how are we understanding the world of cyberspace? Because a lot of people think that just go to the background, do some work, and you are a cybersecurity expert there. But it's different. But it's completely different. So I just wanted to know, to the world that is filled with so much of complexities, what is cybersecurity and how they should approach any problem statement for it?
There are 2 aspects to it. The people who do the bug bounty hunting, I think they're trying to build their own wealth. There's nothing wrong in that. That's one part of it. Because maybe I'm not against it. I don't have any hard feelings for those people, because everyone has their own way of taking care of things. Now, for me, security is something which I feel I am associated with it. It's more of my passion. I would say I like it more than, a passion could lead to something else, but I would say I like it. I like working in the space. I like talking to people about security. So when we say cyber security, and as you just said, that it's not about the tooling, it's all about mindset. It's all about sometimes taking care of the simplest of things, right? And the attacks that I can relate to so much when I say cybersecurity, I'll start with the Sony hack that always stuck with me, that this happened due to smallest of things and then it became so big. Then came Equifax, which gave us sleepless nights. It was not an Equifax vulnerability, but it was Apache vulnerability, which Equifax was using. Like they were using Apache, and I think half of the population uses Apache. And but what happens is, if you're using outdated version and that is not patched, there could be ways where attackers might be able to come in. Now, there is one thing which has changed for good, and that's why I say bug bounty hunters are doing good in that. Earlier, when some attack happens, there was always a name shame that used to be in the picture in when it comes to organizations. Now it's more of people are reporting the bugs and they're getting paid out for it. They're like, okay, we are getting paid out, we are getting recognition in a positive way, so let's do it that way. But when we talk about, still the attacks are happening, because we are missing out on the smallest of things. I was discussing this with someone, wherein we were talking about hackers. Hackers are the most lazy people. Trust me, they're the most lazy people, and we all are, because we try and find the easiest way to get the things done. How That's why the scripts are created, that's why the tools are being created. And the tools are not like tools. These are just scripts, but they're acting as a tool to take over the accounts, to get the remote code shell. And I'll tell you, there are organizations which still have those port 445 open, or the issues which WannaCry brought with it, right? WannaCry was one thing which actually made me go to a news channel also. Like, some news channel invited me on the news, like, to talk about it. I was like, okay, that means it has become a national news, that there is something. And that was there it started in UK or Europe, and then it went to the whole world, right? So those are the things I would say, those stuck with me. And there is no small or big attack. It's all about, if we don't know what we have in our environment, it can go to any extent. Similarly, if you talk about the recent software supply chain attacks, right? SolarWinds Orion attack, what happened? There was a DLL which was compiled as part of the whole binary build. It was shipped to all the companies who were the customers. And then it came to the limelight by, if I'm not mistaken, Microsoft, and there's another company, Vimandiant, right? They actually came up with this, that there is something fishy going on. And then this all became a news. Then came our very own Colonial Pipeline attack, wherein a simple employee credentials, they were at some, they were part of some of the data breaches, and they realized it could be used for something else also. Now they picked it up as a VPN credential, and they got into the network. They brought it down. It was like, it was considered as an emergency in US, and the oil prices rise like anything. So there is no attack which is big or small. It's just the intensity that it, or the sector that it targets, which can actually create. It could be a very small bug which can lead to like a biggest of thing. Now think about these Colonial Pipeline. It was employee credentials. It was part of some breach, but then what happened? They did not change the password, or they used the same password at multiple places. When password hygiene, we talk about it every place. Like, the most simplest of the company is also talking about that. So I always give this analogy, or maybe it's just that I totally love it. Like, passwords are like toothbrushes. Do we share our toothbrush with anyone? No. Why do we share our passwords, or why do we keep the same password everywhere? Correct. So those are the things, like, when we tell the employees, even not just employees, security people tend to mess out on these small things at times, or maybe skip from the brain, or something just happens, because it's a normal human tendency. That's why we call that, let's use password managers.
Yeah.
So I think that's my take on that.
Hey, no, you brought up a very great point about like what we are designing today, about like secrets and things like that. I was just doing GitHub Actions, and there is a secret where when you just put it in, you can never get it back. It's a similar way. It's a similar thing, but what we are designing is something which is not that complex, but yet it's behaving as a complex entity, because sometimes we play with the trade-offs. If you want more of performance, make sure that you're having a trade-off with the security, because security, like, when I think of like talking with 15-year-old engineer, like, or a 20-year-old engineer, they used to say, used to go to servers for a day or so, we used to patch it, and then we used to run it. and like a lot of things. So I just wanted to understand, like, are we aligned to the fact that there is a security patch that is required to every little thing? Because we talk open source, we talk some premium tools, I think so, because that's
Mhm.
premium. Some are premium, some are still open source out there. But like, are they still enough? Because I see that it's just ones and zeros which just crumbles everything. And computers are like, they're prone to be more vulnerable tomorrow, because we are just having lot and lot of things coming up. So do we have a standard for it? Like, is open source good enough, or else is like more premium required, or what is it all about?
Okay. So when we talk about, I'll start with open source because that's my favorite subject. I don't miss out on speaking about open source, even though I'm part of the OWASP board. But I would always uh, see, I support open source fully, but there are conditions attached to it. Like with everything, with every great thing, it comes with a great responsibility as well. So when we talk about these open source products, tools, technologies, or anything, it it is coming as a product of all the volunteering hours that people spend on, right? We all agree to it, that we are spending our free time for these open source tools. We are passionate about it. People are spending even money on that. But then there comes a point when we also have our daily life, we have official work, we have so many things. Then comes a point that who will take care of it? Who will maintain it? And then comes a point where there are many projects which get abandoned. There are not many volunteers that come in part of it. And I'll tell you, there was one panel which I was part of recently, and there people were talking about naming shaming these people who are not updating. Tell me one thing: if you feel that there's something which is there which is not getting updated and it's useful for the organization, and you feel that there's something that needs to be changed, or this is need to be changed, help out. That and open source is here to stay, whatever I say, whatever you say. Because if I talk about the survey or the research done on the code, 10 to 20% of the code on the internet or built by any organization is a custom code. Rest all is open source code. Third party libraries, vendors, third party dependencies, and then interlinked dependencies and whatnot. And even my website is all open source. And if a vulnerability comes in, if I don't update it, anyone can bring it down. Correct? That can happen. So using open source is good because it's helping us. But keeping up to date is our responsibility. What we are downloading, what are the libraries, what are the third party components we are using, what platform are we using, and to update that is our responsibility. If there is a bug in WordPress, they have sent a patch and you have not updated and you've got breached, who's going to be blamed for? You or WordPress? I will never blame WordPress for that, right? Because they have sent a patch. They are providing the platform. So it's all about the perception. And when it comes to attack vectors attacking the surface, it's only the organization who is getting breached. Their reputation is at stake, whatever I say. Now, I quoted Equifax, right? And that's one good company. I have a lot of friends working for that company, and they have revamped the security totally. I like, every time I look at them, they have changed so many things for good. And it was not like that they did not have it. They've stitched it well. That I should say that they had things. Now comes the point that if if they were using Apache, why aren't we still talking about Apache? Why are we talking about Equifax? It's the brand name that got hampered, right? Not the platform. The platform is still in use. People are still using it. People will always use it till the time contributors are there. If it's a famous platform, famous open source tool, there are many open source tools via OS which people use a lot. Talk about Zap, right? For testing, that's being used. Talk about dependency check. Talk about now Cyclone DS is picking up big time because that's a software bill of material. Now people want to know about software supply chain security. So it's all about how easily it's being maintained, updated, and used. Because if I'll give you another example. Visual Studio Code. Are you using it, or have you ever used it?
Every day.
Every day? I'm
It,
using it. There are 14 million users, active users on that. Like almost every month that we can guess. Now, when that much of users are active, there are extensions which it has, like I have Azure it as DevOps pipeline built using Visual Studio Code. And then I use an instant markdown. Instant markdown is a plugin. It again comes with versions, right? So I use an older version. So there was an attack that was done on Visual Studio Code. If you're using those older extensions of those instant markdown, wherein if you come to my website and you are using that plugin, I can pick up anything which is there in your home directory, even your credentials, your secrets, anything. I have those demos ready, and it's so easy to do it. So it has gone to that level. If you don't update what you have, it's only you're going to be accountable for what you're going to be missed or what you're going to be facing. That's what I feel.
You know why I didn't ask your journey as an cybersecurity expert? It's because I needed this prerequisite. Because it's not about that. Your journey has been something like my age into two. That's what you might be having as an experience. I'm not saying you're old, but yeah, I'm just saying like I'm saying
So
in
you're
terms
trying to
of
guess my age.
no, I'm not trying to do that. But yeah, whenever I listen to your talks, whenever I have been part of many uh, DevOps talks, many security talks, and I feel that there's an intrigue difference between what a cybersecurity expert can bring on the table. That's where I didn't ask you about your journey as an cybersecurity enthusiast, probably. But every cybersecurity enthusiast, they say that I'm practicing, I'm practicing. There's no end for it. Just like
Yeah.
doctors, anything can go wrong in a human body. I just wanted to understand, like, what was your journey as a student and as a professional? Because that's the most important phase of life. Because to me, I met you and I fell in love with a lot of concepts about cybersecurity. And recently you gave a talk in DevOps and Azure, in the Azure developer community where I'm part of. And I felt so nice that, hey man, let's not stick to one thing itself. Let's just explore something new. Like that's what you always give, because that's what dreams are all about from the fossils of the industry. That's what I always think about. So I just wanted to understand, like, what was your journey as a student and as a professional?
Or student, I was a bookworm, and that's what I thought, that if I don't get a job, I would like, I don't know where I end up. That was my phase. I was total introvert, which you can think of. I had only a couple of friends, and that too I'll only talk about studies, and that's about it. But it all changed when I actually entered into my first job. So I landed my first job in IT, and then I worked there for some time, and then suddenly I got a project of security in a totally different city where I have never been. I've never been out of Delhi, and suddenly I've been asked to go to a totally different place, Pune. And I was like, whether I should ask my parents or not. So I asked my parents. My dad was like, okay, let's go. And even my bosses in my current, like then current company, they were amazed because they've seen my parents, that how protective they were. And I used to be an introvert. And that's when it all flipped for me. I'll be very honest. And I landed in Pune within 15 days and started my journey. I did my MBA from Symbiosis there. And there it was very, very interesting, wherein when I joined cybersecurity, because back then in college, cybersecurity was not an option. It was never told that you have to do cybersecurity. Everyone wanted to be a Java developer. Everyone was saying, we want to be a developer, we want to be a tester, and that's all. That used to be the trend. And half of my friends are doctors, half of my friends are engineers, some are doing something else and whatnot. But then comes a point wherein cybersecurity is very interesting. Like, there's something. So your brain works in a totally flip way. You start thinking in a flip way. Sometimes it's bad, but most of the times it's good. You think of all the odd situations that can happen with you. Like, I always think that way. And that's who I am. And I accept for who I am, which is good. And I like, okay, interesting. This new attack vector that comes in. Let's try it. I infected my own laptop with an adware. Who does it? Like, it took me 3 days to clear the registries, the DLL, and whatnot. It creeped my head. And that was like my own laptop. and I spoiled it. And I like, shit, I can't do that. So that was funny, but that was interesting. That made me introduced to like that introduced me to a lot of aspects, understanding that what are the things which are there, which I can explore. And then I was not aware about the communities which are there. So I got introduced to communities in one of the training sessions in Bangalore. So this guy was one of the leaders of OWAS Bangalore, Akash, and he was like, we were in the same training, and he's like, I've never seen you at the meets. Like, I don't know even the meets happen, because that was my mini world, right? That's like you are always in your mini world, your office work, your house, your friends, and then too, if you have this much friends, and then it's like all done. That's your life, that's your world. Okay, let's try. I started going on and off, because there used to be very few people and few in a room, and then especially women used to be very less. They're like, okay. But then came a point wherein I started going, and especially after my maternity, I was like, I want to be part of these communities. Like, I want to go out somewhere, I want to go out. So this guy really pushed me, and I started going regularly. And one fine day is like, I'm stepping down. Do you want to be a chapter leader for West Bangalore? Okay. I gave it a thought. And I think that was the big turning point for me, wherein then I was like, any opportunity knocks, I would never say no till the time it's hitting badly on me. I'm not going to say no to any opportunity. And I still don't say it till the time I feel that 0.1% that I can do it. So I go for it. So here I became part of OWAS Bangalore, became part of OWAS Women in AppSec, which they were starting back then. Then came an opportunity in 2019 where they asked me to be a keynote speaker at their conference. And I was like, OWAS is asking me to be a keynote speaker. So they gave me an opportunity, a platform. And the keynote was not on diversity. It was on diversity and inclusion, where diversity is not just a gender gap. Even though I preach a lot about the diversity, wherein I talk about women education, kids education, right? So my topic was that, because I believe in that. I've been grown up that way. We were two sisters, and then very late my brother was born. So I was always treated like a boy. Like, I was never treated like a girl that she can't do anything. No, she can do anything. She can cook, she can go out, she can does anything and everything in this whole world, whatever she wants to do. So I was given wings by my parents. When I was given my parents, so they have put in so much trust on me that I can do it. So why can't I do it? Correct. It's all about, everyone has been given wings. It's just that you have to flip it and then open it. That's what I feel. And that's what made me feel that, yes, if I can do it, other people can do it too. And then I went for OS board, and fortunately I got the votes, and I got to be on OS global board. I feel that's one thing which makes me feel good about that. Yes, I could do something, and then I could contribute back to the community in a bigger way. And then after that, we have started so many things here, Infosec kids, Infotech diversity, and to bring in students and teachers and parents and everyone around. So that's my journey. It's not too sassy. It's like simple, small town person trying to do their best. I think we all are giving our best. That's what I feel. We all are giving our best in all possible ways.
I feel that because like a lot of times, not just your talks, it's all about like this field is something which is like more rigorous initially. Once you get the hold of it, it's like a cakewalk. It's like a cakewalk.
Yes.
It's like you can never leave without it. Like even when I talk to a person who is doing DevOps from past 6 to 7 years, I think probably he has always told me about like, hey Vishwas, do you know what? I have even seen worse situation where a hacker had all the credentials of my company. And there are some vulnerable status though. I just wanted to understand, like, are we really spending good amount of money on cybersecurity according to you? Because I feel that like there was a Telegram hijack which happened just because of our weaknesses being seen over on the internet. And I feel hackers are very good in analyzing the pattern of an human, as well as the internet infrastructure. So I just wanted to understand, like, are we really spending good amount of money on infosec today, or else what is it all about? You can address all the infrastructure. Like you can also talk about the startups which we are actually talking about. You can talk about the MNCs which are not doing so great in terms of security, because I've seen some where there is no security compliance at all. But I feel like some have amazing compliances. So what's your take on this, ma'am?
It's a very midway thing, because security is not same for everyone. People perceive it in their own way. Some people think that compliance is just a checklist and we should be done with that. Some feel that compliance is a stepping stone to get the security posture right, and then talk about other things as well, SOC or maybe application security, DevSecOps and whatnot, which is there as part of the organization. And organizations have started spending a lot on security, because you ask for money and they give you. That means they want people. There are jobs which are there, but they're not finding the right set of people. Then comes a point that uh, how good is the good security? Correct? When you say how good is the good security, is all about how much you know about your own environment. And that's purely my perspective, that if there are servers which you are not using and they're still public servers, or there was a server which was created by someone and that person or left the organization and you don't have as part of your inventory, your asset management, that means you're in trouble. I've seen organizations get into trouble because of that. Talk about cloud accounts. There, when the cloud was booming up, I have taken care of the security for a company, right? The whole security for a company. And then when I headed that, I realized they had over 200 accounts on cloud. And some of them were not even managed properly. We did 6 months or even more than that. We had to push people to remove those root account passwords from their inventory and then keep it in the vault. Like, we kept it in the vault. We gave them the admin access with the limited permissions which they needed. And it was a whole journey. They were using keys in the like the root account or master account keys into the production account. If something happens, who is responsible for it? And then on GitHub, the keys were lying. Now, how would you secure all of that? It's all about hygiene. It's all about getting to know what you have. It all starts with home. That if you know your inventory well, if you're training your people well, if you have the right set of security, even though if you have all of that, then also there are chances you will get breached. No one is 100% secure, how much ever you try. It's just that you can be better than yesterday. That's what I feel. Because if I say that I'm 100% secure, trust me, no. You might be able to get into my accounts tomorrow. You never know, correct? So those things are like, you're as good as your way of thinking. Because people see so specifically are getting the seat on the table with the board. When they are getting, that means they have a say in the organization. They're trying to bring the change, the digital transformation with security, but still companies are getting breached. Talk about any top company and let me know if they've not got ever hacked. Their data breach, data loss, that has happened, right? So when that can happen, that means with startups, with anyone, this can happen. And with startups, they have very limited resources. And how can they build the security? So they can build using the open source components, but they have to fine tune it over the period of time. If they don't do it, again, it'll go back to zero. So that's just purely my take on it, that security is as good as your mindset. And it's how you start, how much, because it's not just about how much you spend, it's how much efforts you put in to have the right skill sets, right people, the right monitoring in place. If you have the best of tools in the market, if you have the best of policies, if you have the best of process, but if you don't have the right set of culture where people align with each other, it is not going to work. And in the beginning, when you were talking about people, process, technology, and it's not just about DevOps, it's not just about culture also, it's all about the skill set of a person also, the mindset of a person also, right? So it's actually that way is also. And security incident can happen with a security person also. A friend of mine lost a huge amount of money, and that person in security. So that can happen. Like, when you are absent minded, the things can go in any direction. But how rigorous controls we have, that matters. Never trust, always verify. Simple funda.
Yeah, that's a simple thought. It's like earlier the DevOps was just a definition where they installed a software on a CD, they played it on the server, installed it. That was the DevOps. And I feel like simplicity is the key for everything. Like, because that's what I feel all about. But are we ready for such emergency situations? Like, how have we trained ourselves to just be more motivated and working more towards the success of the product? Because a lot of times I feel that like there is no plan B for some attacks. There is always
Mm.
there is always a mind ahead about all the things that we are always about. So have we learned to embrace these kinds of situations, like as an engineer, not as an engineer, but as an experienced cybersecurity person? Have you ever felt that we need a little bit more of an education in order to be ready for this go-to situation? Like there should be a go-to plan at any given point. What's your take on this? Because I need to learn that also.
I feel that the organizations are trying harder than before. For I remember you asking a question about patching. I think I missed to answer
Yeah,
that. Now I'll answer that question. There are organizations which can't patch the things right away. Talk about legacy servers. Can you patch them? Can you secure them right away? It's not possible. Then comes a point wherein you talk about proactive controls. Could be web application firewalls, could be talking from a perspective wherein we are talking about defense in depth, managing the identities of those servers, how you are connecting them to the world. So all of those things also cater to it. Because if I say that everyone is 100% secure, or if I get a patch, I should patch it directly. No, for patching also there is a patching cycle wherein you need to test the patch and then update it. If your production system fails, who will be responsible? Correct. So it is not possible. So I would say that proactive controls the organizations have started putting in, and there is no such thing as 100% education. Everyone is just giving or their best, trying their level best. And there is one good thing that I've seen is that people are getting motivated to do the security work because it is so much perks. It is good. It is good money. They're getting a lot of gifts. They're getting a lot of recognition. I think that's what motivates people a lot. And that's when, say, cybersecurity is one of the talked about areas where people want to be in, students want to be in. I have seen a lot of students talking to me about it, and I've started a series on that itself on my YouTube, wherein I talk about how to break into Infosec, talk from a different perspective, because cybersecurity has multiple faces. Talk about infrastructure security, application security, network security, cloud security, database security, then you have developer relations and whatnot. So there are n number of endless things in cybersecurity. It's how you define it, how you take it as. Because there's no good or bad organization.
yeah,
It's just that sometimes the stars are not aligned and you're gone.
that's true. Because like I feel that somewhere we need a cybersecurity policies and cybersecurity. What do you call that? That augmented payment that has to go through some guy who is an agent there who can really fetch me some money if my system goes down. Because I feel that there should be an insurance for all the patches that we are doing. Like probably something like, I can say something like I have 100,000 servers procured, but like I don't have people to maintain it. But I know that someday it's going to go out. But I feel that every infrastructure has a story in it, because a lot of developers have their own story. Like, Vishwas, I just had to just plug in one wire, but we just removed all the 100 wires. Like I've heard these kind of stories as well. So I just wanted to understand, like, what is the requirement of the aligned policies, and are we really following it? Because I feel that money plays a major role in security also, because nobody is ready to do everything for free. Of course, open source is there, but there are a lot of other things that has to be done. So I just wanted to understand, like, what is it all about when we are aligning our business interest with respect to the policies that we are jotting out on a company's platform or a website or anything? Because I feel sometimes these can be a reason for saying that, hey, I'm vulnerable, come here, hack me. I feel so sometimes. But what's your take on that? Because a lot of money is to be involved in all these infrastructure and things like that. So what's your take on this, ma'am?
That's an interesting question, because cyber insurance is something which is picking a big time. I don't know much about it, but my friends are talking about it. I remember Nicole was giving a session last year, APSA California, wherein if something happens, your organization is secured. But most of the organizations are not picking it up yet. But it's a very valid point that when we are doing insurance for ourselves, our organization is also like our baby. So we need to get the cyber insurance done if something happens. And see, this has nothing to do with the policies. The policies, governance, all of that goes side by side. Those are there as a good hygiene practices in the organization to have the right process in the organization. Cyber insurance is totally a different sector which is picking a big time, wherein it's for our own good. That's my perspective. Wherein you secure your organization, and if something goes wrong, there is someone who can actually help you get through that, sail through that. Because when an organization get breached, money is one of the factor, but then the next factor comes is reputation. That if that gets breached, that means you lost a lot of customers and whatnot.
I see a lot of HackerOne stories about like Kubernetes, about all the other things like GitLab also has its own bug bounty program. Like there are a lot, but I wanted to understand like are we just aligning to the fact that there is vulnerability? Because do we really know what does an vulnerability mean? Because I don't really think so that not all software engineers, I don't think so, like even the top notch engineers might get educated about it. So I wanted to understand like can you point out to some sources where they need to really hammer upon the points and say that, hey, let's just learn this instead of this? Because I was having a conversation with one of my friends. He asked me for which is the best programming language, and I told him YAML. because because I learned one thing, because whatever you do at the end of the day, it's all boils down to YAML and JSON. That's what I feel so today. So I just wanted to understand like what is it all about today when you are learning cybersecurity? Because there's no head, there's no tail for it, because everything is scattered. Everything is
Yeah.
scattered. And I don't think there is a better hacker than you being hacked, because that vulnerable feeling is going to bring you a cybersecurity expert one day. So I just wanted to understand like how to learn this, because there are a lot of scattered sources, but can you just streamline our thoughts on that? Because we
Yeah,
need
yeah.
that guidance.
So, like I said, cybersecurity is a very vast area, and you need to understand what you want to hammer upon. You want to be part of application security, then you can go to the resources provided by OWASP. Like I started my application security journey with OWASP testing guide. Then there is OWASP ASVS. So many things are there. Talk about cloud security. So this what is this foundation? Cloud Security Alliance. Cloud Security Alliance have so many open forums where you can connect and learn from the people. They have local chapters. You can learn cloud security from them. There are leaders who are posting about different articles. Like I wanted to understand DevOps with security. There are champions who are taking care of DevOps, and then we speak to them and talk about security. So that's one area. So Tane Jenka is like one amazing person I follow. Then Clint Gibbler, he has amazing newsletter. I have subscribed to it. I don't miss out on reading his newsletters. They're amazing. So these things I think do help. When it comes to network security, there are many people who are CCI or who are actually talking about firewalls, talking about network security, talking about vulnerabilities and whatnot. We can follow them. But it's all about your interest. Try and note down each one of it. There are so many videos which are about what are the things which are making cybersecurity, because cybersecurity is like so much of scattered, like you said. It is very hard to pick up each one of the piece. In my 16 years journey, I would say I'm still learning. I'm not an expert. I'm still learning. Every day there is something new that comes in. I learn from you. I learn from so many other people. There are some discussions that come up. Okay, this can be done in this way also. And even when I talk about DevOps, like lately, I think I have been talking a lot about DevOps, DevSecOps. So people say we talk about product security, right? DevSecOps in a product, DevSecOps in a company, DevSecOps with people. But how about the people who are actually maintaining it, like SIs, system integrators, who are like service providers, sort of a thing, right? So how about we talk about DevSecOps for them also? So it's a very, very um, broadened area wherein first you need to jot down what you want, and then the resources can be truncated. There are YouTube videos which are there are blogs which are there which you can read through on Medium. Even people have come up with their own websites where they keep posting blogs. And one thing is that be shameless in sending LinkedIn requests to anyone with a comment that why you want to connect. And mostly what I feel that people don't say no to get connected if you have a personalized note. So that's, I think that way you can flourish in Infosec. Connection networking is the key. If you are connecting well, even though you're an introvert, you don't need to like say talk all the time, but you are sharing your thoughts in some way with the people. Trust me, people get connected to you, people get attached to you, they start reading. And there are some good professional platforms where people talk about these things.
Yeah,
That's what I
that's
think.
true. That's true. Because we talk a lot of scalability, but we don't know how to make it more secure and scalable. That's
Correct.
what I feel, that we need to be educated in the right way, because organizations spend a huge amount of money on training somebody on Java, but they don't say what's the vulnerability that is underlying behind the same kernel that we are running. And I think, trust me, Project Panama, there are open source projects. You can just see the repo, you can fall in love with the projects that is just there. I think, thank you so much, ma'am, for covering such great insights about cyberspace, because a lot of times we don't get educated about it, and sometimes some simple things will not be addressed even by the biggest of the biggest educators. Not I'm not condemning them, but there is an underlying fact that is not being told, and I think you really conveyed the fact that has to be conveyed. And thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. And I hope I could do the justice to your expectation and the questions that you had in mind, which I could answer well.
Yeah, ma'am, that was true. That was true. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am.